I also need to have a stand in this. I just cannot blindly follow what my client is sending me. They'll send me 10 Pinterest images like, Anuja, I want this, Anuja, I want this, Anuja, I want this. But I need to have the final say that no, we need to do this. For that, for them to listen to what I need to tell them, which is good for their house, I need to build that foundation with them before I start on to the next step.
Hey, young architects and interior designers, welcome to Build, a podcast in which we talk about architecture, interior designs. We bring in industry experts who share their insights, who share their wisdom, who share their experiences, and we help empower the young people who are coming into the industry and helping them grow in their careers and helping the complete industry also grow. So, today we have a new guest, Anuja Marudgan ji. Welcome, Anuja ji.
I thank you so much for having me.
So what's very special about Anuja Ji is I love how she handles the clients. I love how she understands the needs of the clients and how she makes the client experiences amazing. Because interior design architecture is all about the experience that any client has. Will you agree with me
True,
on that?
true, very true.
So this is something I have loved about you. I have loved about your work. How you understand these things and actually create the solutions out of that.
Yeah.
So Anuja, let's start from you. How did you came into the field? Tell us something about your journey. How did
Before
your
starting
passion
that,
came? Hmm.
I would just interrupt you and say one thing. It just reminded me of an essay that I wrote in my fourth year of architecture. I had written a line which said, architecture is a feeling that you feel in the third dimension. So it's not just what you're seeing, it's not 2D, it's an entire emotion that you're experiencing. So yes, architecture and interior design is an experience that I love to give my clients. So yes.
I love that line to be true.
Yeah.
Because it's not something tangible that we are giving out to someone. It's about our
Correct.
idea that we are bringing out for someone's brain. We are coming into a reality. This is the
Correct.
idea that we are bringing.
Yes.
So, Anuja, let's understand your journey and how this passion for designing and architecture came into being.
I have been extremely passionate about design since I was in school. Earlier, I was not sure whether I was going to do architecture, interior design, graphic design. I was super inclined towards fashion design initially.
Hmm.
But in my junior college, when I opted for science and I studied physics and all the laws of physics and everything, it was really interesting for me, which I did not expect, honestly. I was supposed to go for arts. I went for science and I really liked it. So that made me think maybe my passion for physics and design can be mixed together, which led me to architecture. And after architecture, actually, I ventured into interior design. I did small courses. I worked with a very reputed interior designer in Pune, and I got to learn a lot from him. And I think that was my calling. I found my calling. I think interior design was something that made me happy because I was making homes, not just buildings. I was making homes. So it was a very satisfying process, the whole
Right.
journey of designing, figuring out what to design, to getting into interior designing, and then in the end, handing over my first project. It was a really satisfying journey. And since then, there has been no looking back because it's been what, 4 years, and we've handed over than 50 projects. So it's been a good journey.
That's amazing. To be true, I also believe that building a house and building a home is a mindset thing. That
Yeah,
you are
yeah,
just constructing a building or you're building a home for someone.
yeah.
That's completely a different feeling altogether. So
True.
can I say that I can give it credit to your family that they did not allow you to go to arts and forced you to go to science?
Honestly, that is a very big story to tell because my whole family is only engineers. This is the first person who has ventured into anything related to design. But yeah, my parents never like gave up faith in what I was going to do. They had no clue what I was doing. They had no clue what is there in architecture, but they stood by me, and yeah, I am very thankful to them. And even after architecture, I took the decision of not doing masters. They stood by me, and it was a leap of faith. I did a job just for a couple of months wherein I just grasped everything I could and I just started on my own. So they had faith in me and they never stopped showing their support. So that is very important for me.
That's true. If the family supports you in every end, the journey becomes much easier, I believe, and much
True.
supportive, right? And to
Very true.
I can relate to you very much because in my family, all are engineers, including me.
Oh, oh,
Automation.
you're an engineer.
Yes, I have done electronics engineering.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then came into marketing and all stuff.
Okay.
So, Anujaji, let's go deep into the customer experiences. Why do
Yeah.
you believe is it important to understand the customers first, understand their families first, and then create a solution out of it? Why it is so important?
Okay. So I'll tell you what. I have been raised in like a big family, okay? And every personality in the family is different. And I understand that because I have grown up in that scenario.
Right.
So when I am designing a space, especially a home for a family, it is mandatory for me to understand what individual person needs from that house.
Hmm.
Because every person is going to have different expectations, different comfort levels, different lifestyles. So what I do is that I meet the whole family. I try to understand how they live. I actually go to their old house and understand how they live. Because I don't want them to come into the new house and be like, what is happening? This is not what we wanted. So I make sure that, they're taking a piece of their old house into the new home because even that was something they have built. Maybe
Yeah, memories
they
with
won't
them.
call it a dream home. Exactly. So they take their memories from the old house to the new house. They take that comfort that they have lived with for so long into the new house. So I have actually a big questionnaire in my office which I ask my clients before starting off. So there are so many questions that I ask them, like when do you wake up, and like what kind of lighting do you require at night, like can you sleep with some light coming in from the curtains, or do you need a pitch dark room? So right from the tiny things I try to understand what their daily routine is, like what they like, what they don't like. Even when planning a kitchen, I try to understand the flow of their cooking, if they're going to have a maid, if they're not going to have the maid, if someone is going to cook in the house, or do they have like these events where they're entertaining a lot of people. I try to understand all these things.
Okay.
So even the feels that the client is being heard. So it develops a level of comfort for them too, that okay, she's trying to understand what we want, okay, she knows what we want in the house and she'll deliver that because I'm asking so many questions, I'm talking to them, I'm trying to understand. So it builds a level of comfort with them. They know that okay, now we trust her and we know that she's going to do what we want.
Hmm.
So I think it's very important for me to develop that connection with the client before I go on to designing. So I make sure that I do that.
Do you think this also builds an authority? You as an authority, basically, that this person is understanding so many things about us. So she has a lot of experience. We have a mindset, customer mindset also, where the someone is like, okay, a general interior designer or an authority interior designer. There's a difference between that. So you think this helps in
De-
that?
Definitely yes, because I'll tell you what, I also need to have a stand in this. I just cannot blindly follow what my client is sending me. They'll send me 10 Pinterest images like, Anuja, I want this, Anuja, I want this, Anuja, I want this. But I need to have the final say that no, we need to do this. For that, for them to listen to what I need to tell them, which is good for their house, I need to build that foundation with them before I start on to the next step. So
Uh,
after building that foundation, yes, as you said, that authority figure is formed. So yes, I agree with that. I
okay,
never
that's
thought about it that way, but yes.
okay. So you got a new angle to think
Yeah.
about it then.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So just like you said, client gives you many things. Many times, I must say, many times what happens is they give something which is not practical, which is not feasible.
Hmm.
They are like चांद सितारे तोड़ लो मेरे घर में. But that is not practical. So how do you handle such situations?
See, that happens almost daily with me. So we have these WhatsApp groups with all my clients, like every project has a group, and they'll be sending random images they find on Pinterest, and they'll be like,
Right.
Anuja, let's do this. I really like this. And you'll have like tiny space in the house, and there will be like a lot of expectations to go inside that tiny space. But yes, at when something like this happens, I just tell them that listen, you have selected me as your interior designer. You need to trust me. You need to trust the process, and I am going to make sure that I deliver the best practical solution for that space.
Mm.
So I will try to take your inputs on this. I'll try to do what you're asking me to do. But if it's not going to happen, trust me, it will not happen. After the handover in 2 months, you're going to call me back and tell me, Anuja, this is not working out. Let's change it and go back to what you're doing. So this is what I have actually said to my clients many times. And then they just laugh it off, and we move on to the option that I have actually shared with them.
Right. In the end, they have to trust you. Otherwise, this doesn't happen that way.
This whole process is about trust because they're giving me their dream to design. It's the biggest part of their future that they're going to give into my hands. So I understand whenever they're going to give me suggestions, I do sit down with them, I listen to them, and if they're really that practical, I will do that.
Right. Because what I believe is, no one knows what is getting built. No
Yeah,
customer knows anything. He's just like when he actually enters that final house, then he understands. Okay, this is what's built.
that's
Before
true.
that, he's just assuming stuff and all. He doesn't know anything.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And as an interior designer, since you have experience, you can imagine how it will look after it's being made.
true.
Right. So Anuja, share an experience with us where such a situation came and it became very difficult to convince the client that some things are going wrong or this is not practically feasible.
So this was very early on in my career, like the first year of my career. It was a 2 BHK. It was a very small apartment.
Mm-hmm.
The clients were expecting their second baby, and they wanted me to add a bunk bed in the room for their first child and for the new baby. And the room was very tiny. Okay, so they wanted like a bunk bed, a wardrobe, and two study tables. And I was trying to tell them that they do not have space for that. But they kept on sending me Pinterest images and everything. Like my WhatsApp was filled with bunk bed Pinterest images. And honestly, the floor height was also not that great for me to give them a bunk bed. So this conversation went on for like a week. I was trying to tell them that this literally cannot work out. I gave them a better layout wherein both the kids can stay in that room, they can have their study tables. It was like a makeshift kind of a space, like a folding study table and wardrobe and two like twin beds.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just not convinced because they wanted that bunk bed with the slide and everything. So I was like, okay, let's do one thing. Let's go to the site. Let's mark it out on the site. Like we literally drew everything on the floor and on the walls so that they could understand the height of the bunk bed and what slide they wanted. So once I did that, they're like, oh no, Anuja, we cannot do this because there is no space to even stand after we do this.
Exactly.
So it was one of the most difficult conversations I had to have because they were just not ready to let go of that bunk bed, and I knew it was not going to work out.
Right. They have
So
some expectations from their dream homes. Huh? They have been looking at images.
yes,
They are like assuming, oh, my house can also look like this and all stuff.
correct, correct. So right now the most important thing is accessibility to everything. Everyone has access to everything on internet. Every interior designer's designs, every architect's designs, every room design, not just in India, all over the world.
Okay.
So
Right.
when you have access to everything, you want to have all of it in your house. So
Exactly.
it is our job. Interior designer has an extra job now of convincing the client not to go on Pinterest every day and see 10 images and just trust what the interior designer is trying to build. So that is one thing that we have to do extra now. Maybe that was not there 2 decades ago for designers, but now we do have that job.
Yeah, the more access we are getting via internet, the more
Yeah,
access to information we are getting, it's becoming
correct,
difficult for all professionals out there now.
correct,
And
correct.
I believe this is
True.
not only applicable in interior design domain, every domain. Whenever you are
Yeah, yeah,
trying
yeah.
to pitch any services or you are sending, doing anything for anyone, they are like, okay, this is available for this much, or this is the quality is available, or everything, because everything is open on internet. You just go
Yeah,
on Google,
yeah.
find everything. You are buying
Yes,
something, you go on Amazon, you will find everything of every quality at every price. But it's very difficult to
true.
understand what is the difference between the quality. That's why the difference in the
Yes,
price is there. Right.
yes,
Okay. So Anuja, I read about a very interesting project that you did in which you described about a wheelchair friendly home.
yes.
I would like to know more about that.
So I did not do just one wheelchair accessible project, I did two.
Oh, nice.
And the story behind it is that we met with an accident 10 years ago, and my mother has been on the wheelchair since 10 years.
Okay.
And after the accident in our old home, uh, the house was not built for a wheelchair to move around. So my mother was restricted to just her room and the living room. So these were the only spaces she could actually go to. And
Okay.
mind you, she loved to do puja every day. She loved to do cooking once in a while. So that was something she was not able to do because how the house was planned.
Hmm.
And this was planned 25 years ago, this house.
Okay.
So I saw her struggles every day, like in small activities, like differently abled people can do, like you and I can do normal activities in our day to day lives, which she could not. Just not because she was on a wheelchair, because the design was wrong. If a person on a wheelchair can definitely do everything we can do, but just they should have the right access to that. So, from what I learned over the 7 years that we lived in that house after the accident, and when my father decided to buy the new house, I knew that I have to step up and make sure that the new house has everything the old house did not.
Right.
So, I wanted to give her a home in which she has her own individual freedom. She should not depend on someone, and she can actually go to each and every corner of the house. So while we did the right from the layout stage, I actually put in the wheelchair turning radius everywhere, every corner of the house, and all doors, all passages were wide enough to accommodate the wheelchair. And one more thing that we did was all the sofa heights, bed heights, everywhere that you want to sit on, lie down on, was flushed with the wheelchair height. Everywhere. So there was no surface in the house where she cannot move on to. Like she can shift from her wheelchair to any surface in the house right now. So even if she wants to sleep in my bed, my sister's bed, the guest bedroom, or her bedroom, she should be able to do that. So the entire kitchen is also built around her accessibility. She should be able to cook, she should be able to approach the gas stove, the overhead cabinets, everything should come down to her level. So we made sure that even if she's not going to cook every day, she wants to cook once in a month, she should be able
She
to do
should be
that.
able to do that. Right.
The puja room is also designed in a way that uh, my father can do the puja while he's standing, and my mother can do the puja when she is sitting on the
Second.
wheelchair. So it's not that I have designed the house only for my mom. I've made sure that it's easy for my father also to use everything. Even all the basins in the house do not have a vanity below so that the wheelchair can go in and she can use every basin in the house. So these little things I made sure that I am following so that whatever problems can come won't come. Like, for example, if you consider a bed, right now we make like these big fat borders for the bed and then you have your mattress. But for a wheelchair bound person, they cannot shift from the chair to the bed when you're giving
Right.
that thick border. This is a very small detail that we need to consider while designing a bed or a very small element in the house. So, right from these little minuscule things, I made sure that everything is done according to her and my father, and there is no discomfort for either of them. And while I was designing this house, there was an opportunity that I got for one more house, which the family had a wheelchair bound person in their house. And they did not know that I was actually already designing this house. And they approached, and when I started talking to them, they realized, oh my God, she understands everything. She understands what happens with us every day. And how is this happening? Because I'll tell you what, unless and until you yourself have been through it or you have seen someone go through it, you cannot understand the daily struggles they have to go through. So I don't blame anyone for not making a non accessible house because they don't know.
Ah, right, true. When you need to,
Accessibility, I'll tell you, in even in architecture, accessibility is just the ramp. That's all they teach. It's the little things that you need to consider while designing. Maybe in architecture, lift ka size matters because the wheelchair with a helper should fit inside the lift.
right.
These are little things that everyone needs to follow in design. And after I did these two projects, I became really passionate about inclusive design. It's not just about a wheelchair bound person, it's about every person with different abilities. It's about every person of different age. Everyone should be comfortable in their own house. They should not feel like a stranger in their own house. They should not feel that we've taken away their freedom in their own house. So it's not just about being wheelchair friendly, it's about being inclusive. So may it be anything. So I know that we cannot do this for every project, but understanding the future possibilities, whatever, like for example, if I'm designing for a family who has an old person in the house, I need to make sure that I'm taking care of that. I need to make sure that even if he's 90 years old, he'll be able to move around the house on his own. Even if he's on a wheelchair, even if he's on walking with a walker, I need to make sure that I'm catering to that. And I don't want my clients to call me 5 years later and tell me, Anuja, he's not able to move around in the kitchen, Anuja, he's not able to get up from his bed because the height is low. I don't want my clients to call me and tell me these things because that is what will make me feel like, oh, my design failed because my client is not comfortable. Aesthetically, I can make it look like a heaven. But if the client is not comfortable living in that house, what is the point?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, and my the second project that was an accessible home,
Mm-hmm.
the clients had not seen the house from day one till handover. When I handed the house over, that was the time when they saw because they were not from Pune.
Okay.
They were from a different city and they directly came in after the house was done 1 year later. They did not meet me. They just, we were on call. They used to tell me the requirements on call. And because they trusted me so much, they knew what they want from the house. They knew that I know, I understand what they want. So when they came into the house and they saw the whole house, they saw every concept that I had included in it. In fact, in their house, in the master bedroom for uncle who was on the wheelchair, we have given that reclining bed kind of a thing. There's this new company, sleep company, they've come up with this mattress which reclines and your feet go up like the hospital bed mechanism,
Right,
but
right.
in a regular bed.
Okay.
But the auntie did not want this mechanism. So we made sure that the bed looks like a normal bed, but only his part of the bed is going to recline.
Hmm.
So after using that, and 2 days later, auntie called me and she's just crying. I was like, what happened? He's like, Anuja, this is beyond our dream home. This is what we wanted, and this is something I did not expect. I thought it's just going to be a regular house. It looks like a regular house, but the little things that we've taken care of, uncle did not move around his old house just like my mom. He was restricted to a few spaces. Here, he could move around the entire house. I had tears in my eyes when she called me and she told me this. And I was like, I will come, I will meet you guys. I want to see you guys move around the house. And it was, my God, it was so satisfying to see it, the smile on their faces and the tears she had in her eyes when she saw me. It was very overwhelming. And it's that's what I'm trying to say, that it's not just because he's wheelchair bound, it's just because I tried to take care of what their problems were. I tried to be sensitive towards their problems and I tried to cater to their problems. So it's not just about building a home for accessibility, it's just about building a home and being sensitive about their comfort zone. So I think this is what it was about, the whole article that you were talking about, the project.
Right.
This is what it's about, understanding and being sensitive to your client's needs.
Anuja, the way you told me about this now, and the way you had tears in your literally right now, your eyes are wet talking about everything, about how the client experienced, how you actually went to their house and they were moving around everywhere, how she called you and she cried on the call, how you made a house for your mother and she is accessible for everyone. Your tears literally, I had a feeling right now that I should also become an interior designer. I also want that feeling with me.
Trust me,
I
it's the
could
best
literally
feeling.
feel how would you. I cannot imagine how would you have felt, but seeing your eyes right now, I have felt like wow, like person must be having some like goosebumps or something.
Definitely, yes. It was really overwhelming. I've never felt this way. It's a different feeling altogether. It's super satisfying. I
Hmm.
must say that.
So, how these things have transformed your complete process? If I want to basically put a step by step process that as soon as any interior designer or any architect gets a project, what are the step by step process of understanding the customer's need before actually executing the process, executing the work?
Okay, so if it's a home, first thing is you need to get to know the family. You need to go to their current house, if it is possible, of course, and
Complete
see how
family,
they live.
everyone like 2 years to
Everyone who's
70,
going
80
to,
years,
yes,
everyone.
yes, whoever is going to stay in the new house, you need to go and meet the family. You need to understand the dynamics in their family. You need to make sure that they're comfortable with you. They trust you. Even if they're going to share a few personal problems, hear them out. Because maybe that can translate into design later. Maybe that can translate into a solution later. So I make sure that I have this friendly bond with all my clients, that they come and talk to me, they discuss everything with me. They'll just randomly tell me, आज हमारे घर पे maid नहीं आई तो हमें खाना बनाना पड़ा. So they'll tell me random things that are happening in their day-to-day life. If their daughter is having an exam, how she did in the exam, how she studies in the house. She's just lying down in the bed and studying, or she has a study table, or they think she needs a study table. So all these little things you get to know only when you sit with the family. You see how they are together. You see the dynamics in the family. Then you understand, कि, acha they need this. And also, one of the first things that I actually try to understand is their need for storage, because that in Indian houses, oh my god, people collect so many things like Diwali ka alag, Ganpati ka alag, so many things we have to store. I need to understand their storage needs
I'm imagining my mother
before I
right now.
start.
She's like, ये भी
Yes,
रख दो, फेंकना
I
नहीं है
think
कुछ भी,
I
don't
think
throw away
whoever is
anything.
going to see this and hear this, they are going to think of their moms first thing, because we cannot go Marie Kondo in India. We just keep piling up things and
And
we put it in the
we do
lofts.
not throw anything. It will be useful in future. Maybe 10 or
Yes,
20 years back.
yes. And even
It
if you
will
don't
be.
open those boxes for 20 years, it's going to be there.
Right.
So that's what I try to understand from my clients, what their storage needs are, because it influences my design highly. I just cannot keep bare walls if they have so much to store. And later, I don't want them complaining that we don't have space to keep this. So that's what I understand the next. And then after I know the entire family, I know their requirements, I know their storage needs, then I get down to mood boards. Then I get down to what they like aesthetically. Then when I know what they want, then I get down to layouts. Everything, all the major aspects of design requirements and understanding are done in the first phase of design, and then we get on to the drawings and the technical part of it. And while we are doing the drawing, simultaneously we start doing the selections and everything. And I make sure that at least 60% selections are done before I start the execution on site so that it goes smoothly. I don't want to wait for material on site. I know what I've selected, I know what date I wanted on site. So we make sure that the process is quite smooth. So when before we start execution, all our drawings are ready, signed by the client, signed by me, and then we go on to the next step.
Now, what happens if the client has signed all the drawings, but he doesn't like something and he wants a revision out of that? Or he wants a
So,
complete layover. Like, I don't like it at all. I want to change. And the change
mm,
he's saying doesn't make sense at all.
so fortunately, it has not happened with me
Okay.
yet that to completely change the design. That has not happened with me yet. Touch wood, please. I don't want that happening with me. We put a lot of effort in designing, but yes, I'll tell you how we avoid this.
Hmm.
When I'm starting with the design, I don't give them like, yellow, this is my design. I give them three options.
Okay.
I know which option I prefer. So I make sure that I'm talking a lot about that option.
Obviously.
So when I give them three options, they have something to compare it with. If I'm giving them one option, they are going to be like, but is this the only possibility that can
And they will
happen in that
compare with
space?
Pinterest also. That will be a
Exactly,
headache.
exactly. So I make sure that I'm giving them multiple options so they have something to compare it with. I give them a lot of references from internet or from my earlier projects. And I give them references of how it can be done, how the finishing can be, or maybe when we are designing a wardrobe, how we can occupy the space inside the wardrobe. So I give them a lot of options. And after that, even if they want more options, I will give them because it's their home. They have to be comfortable with what I'm designing because later on, while executing, this is a headache. To change these things, it's a headache. So it's better that I do it during my drawing stage. And if they are not understanding how it's going to look like, I make sure that I'm giving them mock-ups on site so that they know what is going to be built. And even after that, they want to change something on site, then we have to do it.
Hmm.
So
True.
I know it's a big task to change everything after everything is finalized, but that has not happened with me, touch wood, because of what the process we follow. But minute changes do happen
Money
when
change is a
maybe,
different thing. It's a small
yeah,
thing. It
yeah,
can be done on site.
completely change. So never happened. Hopefully, will never happen.
Right.
But in case it happens, you have to deal it in a way that
Both are satisfied. Client is
both are
satisfied.
satisfied, and you have to like take a stand and say that we took this decision for a reason.
Hmm.
You said yes to this for a reason. If the new approach that the client comes with is super practical and even like convinced with the idea, then yes, I will do it. If it is super practical, if it is not practical, if it is impractical, then I have to like talk them out of it. That is my job
Right. Right.
because like I told you, they'll call me 2 months later and they'll say, Anuja, this is not working out. We need to change this. So the whole point is they should be comfortable in that house, and if they are, there won't be any complaints.
So I believe is this is all about the communication. How from
Yes,
day one we are communicating with them. How from day one we are understanding what they actually need. But all generations in their families need. If like
yes,
the daughter or son whose room is getting done, this is getting care of, and everything. The conversation is practically, and this is getting good, and both are comfortable in talking to each other about
yeah,
everything. That's where
yeah,
it actually starts away.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then you go into the giving some options so that they just
yes,
go on around on Pinterest and get some
right.
impractical solutions and out.
See, Pinterest is going to happen anyway.
Hmm.
So I also give them Pinterest. I give them references.
Okay.
So I will make 3Ds also, but I just can't keep making 10 3Ds for one space.
It's too
So
much of
instead,
work.
I will make a mood board of
Okay.
that space. Like this is going to be the finish for the wardrobe, for example. This is going to be the texture of the fabric. So when they actually can feel and see the tactile things,
Hmm.
then they get a better idea, and then they are convinced.
Right. Okay. So, Anuja ji, tell me something. Now, For example, if there is a young architect who is getting a second or third project, maybe he has done one or two under someone in a job or something. Now he is starting out, right? What is the correct process or correct procedure he should start off with a client?
Firstly, I am totally against giving layouts or 3Ds or whatever before they sign you on as their designer, because you are getting paid for that. So
Hmm.
don't do it for free, first of all. And you must have a contract in place. That is the first thing you do before you draw any line on a paper for their
With a
layout.
contract.
You need to have a contract in place, which needs to be very in detail
Hmm.
about everything. You need to figure out what kind of interior designer you want to be. You need to figure out whether you are going to take turnkey projects or you have your own set of contractors or whatever. You need to figure everything out before you are starting off with a new client. You
One thing
need to
I
have
want,
every,
one thing I
yeah,
want
yeah,
to add on here is when we were talking about the customer experience, when we
yes,
force a client to sign a contract before doing anything, does it hurt the customer experience?
not really. They just find it very professional that they are signing this contract. If it is someone you know, then it's kind of, a question mark in their heads that why is she making me sign a contract? But I make sure that even if it is someone I know, I sign a contract with them, because see, in the end, it is your work. You're professionals.
Hmm.
You need to be bound by something.
Exactly.
So
Right.
you're not answerable to everything. And those things are mentioned in the contract. So it is your safety net, that contract. So you need to have that in place before starting any project, even if it is one single room, one bathroom. You need to have that contract in place wherein your fee structure and everything is mentioned.
Hmm.
And unless and until the client signs on it, you get your advance, do not start any job.
Right.
Because
Right.
I have had this experience very early on when I did not understand how to make a contract or anything. It was before I even started Ikigai Studio. It was a freelance project, and that person took designs from me, 3Ds. I did not charge a penny, and
Not
then
even the
vanished.
layout, the 3Ds also.
Yeah, 3Ds also, and then vanished because I wanted the project so bad. I was like, I'll do anything to do it, and they vanished after that. They're like, okay, we don't want to do it anymore, and I'm sure they got it done from their carpenters or whatever contacts they
Right.
had.
Right. Once you
And
have
from that,
you can done from anywhere, no?
exactly, they have the layout, they have the sizes, they
Hmm.
have the 3Ds. What else do you want?
Exactly.
Of course, the selection matters a lot.
Hmm.
What I am going to select, definitely they're going to not select that
Hmm.
finishing material.
True. True.
So, if you don't have a contract in place, this can happen. If you don't take your token advance or whatever advance you have
Hmm.
decided, this can happen. Because our field is such that it can be copied, it can be executed, or whatever. Carpenters are so intelligent these days, you give them a 3D and they'll make it.
We'll
They
make
don't
it.
need anything, they make it from the 3D. So it is very easy for people to just run off with your design. So you have to safeguard yourself, you have to have a contract in place, and that is the first thing you need to do in any project.
You know why I asked this question was I talked to many interior designers and architects. Being in the field, I talked to many,
Yeah,
and many have a myth in their minds that if they are asking a person to have a contract in place before starting anything, that will hurt the experience. The customer will get doubtful about them. They will start to get some what should I say? Some questions in their mind, some confusions in their mind. So that's why this question, like, is it still professional or it will not hurt, and it will not hurt actually the customer experience. It will even enhance the experience, seeing that you are a professional in the field and you are dealing it professionally and not just some random guy or something.
correct, correct.
Right. Okay. So another the last thing I would like to know from you, just one mistake that every interior designer do which badly hurts a customer experience in the complete uh, journey.
Not giving enough time to the client is the biggest mistake you can do. Because I'll tell you what, every client is going to expect one thing from you is giving enough time to
Mhm.
them personally. So I have my team of designers, but I make sure that I'm giving my individual time to every client. At least once a week, I'm going to see them, I'm going to talk to them, we are going to go to site, or we are going to go for some selections, or we are just going to sit in my office and brainstorm. So that is extremely important that you give your client time. Second thing is be sensitive. This person is trusting you with a big part of their future. He's giving you
Big
his
money,
dream to design and money, a big chunk of
big chunk
money.
of money, right?
So you need to be sensitive with that. You need to understand that even if the client is telling you something impractical, you need to deal it in a way that you are being sensitive towards their emotions.
Hmm.
You need to do that. You cannot be harsh with your clients. You need to understand that they have trusted you. It's not just that they are paying you for a job, they are trusting you for something
Right.
which is very big. Even if it is an office space, it is a huge investment for them.
Exactly.
So you need to understand that making the client feel comfortable, making the client feel heard, being sensitive towards the client is very important. Building a relationship, I'm not telling like you should be friends with every client. That's not possible sometimes.
True.
But make sure that you develop some sort of relationship with that person so you understand the requirements better.
And the
So
client
you
should
are
not
a,
feel that you have just put everything on your team and not you doing yourself. Because they are trusting
exactly.
you actually. They are trusting Anuja as an interior designer, not her team.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
they should not even feel that she is not doing anything, she has put everything on the team.
See, and one more thing, my clients know that I am not sitting on AutoCAD and me drafting all the drawings, but they know that I am a part of every brainstorming session for every small thing in the house. I am designing the bed, I am designing the side table, I am selecting which handle to put on the side table. Everything is run by me. So that confidence needs to be there because they are coming to me for me.
Exactly. Exactly.
In the
And
first meeting, I'm not sending my designers, I'm going myself. So why should I send someone else for all the other meetings? I need to be there. I need to be present.
okay, okay, that's good. Anything you would like to add for the young designers and all who are coming in, starting in now?
Uh, it's just that be confident. It is a very, very, very competitive field right now, but you just need to be confident and try new things, explore, and don't initially at least don't say no to projects. Take on every opportunity you get. You never know, even if you are getting just a bedroom to design, someone is going to see that bedroom and give you a 5 bhk to design. You need to understand that.
Right.
So when you're starting off, no should not be there in your dictionary unless and until the client and your wavelength does not match.
Hmm.
So and contract, yes, before you start off, you need to have your contract written. You need to talk to someone about this. You need to talk to a professional about this. Maybe a senior interior designer, senior architect. You need to talk to someone about this and get this in place before you start off,
Right.
which will be your safety net and you will never regret doing it. So, I think these are a few things that you need to understand when you're starting off.
And the biggest learning that I am taking from this, or any interior designer would take from this, is the communication. The
Yes,
stronger the communication, the less hurdles you will face in future,
yes,
the less
yes,
problems, the less revisions you will come up with. Everything will be
yes.
much lesser, and the experience will be much better than a general thing,
True, true, true.
right? So I
Yes.
believe all the interior designers and architects who are just starting out, and who have many myths in their mind about having a how we actually enhance the customer experience, will learn a lot from this one on how they should start the process, how should they talk to every person in the family,
True.
visiting their old homes if it's possible, understand what memories they have, what problems they may face maybe in 5 years. It's like, maybe if it's like a guy who is like 25 years old, we can expect in next 5 years he's getting married, so his room
Yeah.
will be
Yeah.
designed,
Yeah.
should be designed like that, right? Because obviously we are not developing a house next 5 years again. It's like 20
True.
year thing we have done already, right?
Yes.
So we have to keep that in mind. how the things
Yes.
may change in the next 5 years, and all these things. The more communication do with the client, the more understandings we do. The sensitive part is very good that I loved. Right, we have to be
Yes.
sensitive with them because they are putting, many people actually putting the life savings in this.
Of
Like, I
course.
am 50 years old, I have 30 years of savings I put in one house, and
True.
obviously I cannot do that again.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have to be sensitive with that. Very.
Yes.
So, thank you, Anujaji, for coming
Thank you so
here,
much.
sharing our experiences, and talking to our audience and telling them on how we can actually enhance our customer experience. Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much.
much.
It
I
was
had
a
a great
pleasure.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you.